Hey there, YouTube friends. Masked Bandit here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Always do appreciate it, and we're back in Emerald Gardens for another episode. Today we are adding some red pandas. Big shout out to those of you in the comments that suggested we make red pandas. Thought that was a really nice little idea, and so that's what we're going to be doing for this episode. If you suggested wolves, don't you worry, they're coming too, but this took longer than I thought. I thought I could bust out a red panda exhibit in not too long. Yeah, I know I lied, it took a while. Well, not true. Took a decent amount of time, but the time in which I have to play is small. It is very hard finding time to play currently. But that's all coming to an end in a couple days. So work has been crazy. I think I've mentioned it before. That's why you've seen such a slow output of content here. Want to get more stuff out to you guys. Am inspired to work on this. Am excited to work on this. Have lots of ideas. It's just a matter of getting it done. Unfortunately, as soon as I'm done with the work craziness, it's the holidays and I'm out of town. So this very well could be the last Planet Zoo video on the channel for a little while. It could be the last video of any kind on the channel for a while. Actually, that's not true. We're probably going to have a Planet Coaster video. Go figure. In the next weekish. That should be coming your way. And I'm going to try to get something done with the DLC that is launching probably. If I did my job, this video is coming out the day the DLC drops, even though this is pre-Arctic Pack DLC. Let's talk a little bit about that Arctic Pack DLC. I'm actually really bummed that it's coming out right now when I can't play, because so much of that pack is going to fit so perfectly into this project. I wanted to have some kind of mountain goat type creature at the front of the park, because that's what my inspiration zoo had, and now that we have that, it's like, I wish we had that at the beginning. So the doll sheep are coming into the game. You can expect those in Emerald. Basically everything that's in this pack you can expect in Emerald Gardens. That would be the doll sheep and the reindeer or caribou and what else? The Arctic wolf, which is super cool. And there's one more. The sheep. Oh, and the polar bear. How could I forget the polar bear? Yeah, the polar bear. Probably have all of those in this project, because especially since we're working on this North American area, I mean, doll sheep and caribou right away. Those are going to go in pretty much right away. But question, would you rather see the Arctic wolf or would you rather see the timber wolf in this project? Because that's the next animal after. That's going to be the next episode. It's going to be the wolf. The DLC will be in my possession by that time. It's just what do you think would look better, or what would be more interesting to see, the Arctic wolf or the timber wolf? Maybe Arctic wolf, just because it's newer. Be an easy way to try and incorporate the DLC. We'll see. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's talk about this red panda exhibit. It's kind of unique. It's a little different. Originally, I started with this interior area, which is, again, inspired by the Houston Zoo. And actually, the one at the Houston Zoo, I found out, used to house koalas, and then it was retrofitted for red pandas, which is fine. It's cute. However, it's not very big. And so I actually gave them an outdoor exhibit as well. And you can see we're kind of doing this 2-level thing. Like this house is now, like the red panda part actually connects to the Fragile Kingdom building. And that is, again, something that's similar to at the Houston Zoo, but if you were to look at the map, you wouldn't even be able to recognize these two structures, because this is kind of not how they go together. But I liked the idea of one big complex, so that's what we went with this wraparound outdoor exhibit that I was a little unsure of at first, but I think it really came together nicely. And I think this is one of the, as far as like furniture and decor, I think this is one of the more realistic builds. I don't go too heavy with natural things in the enclosure. It's a lot of the climbable pieces, and I like this little trick I'm doing here, hiding the mesh fencing in the wall so that you can have the no climb barrier on the actual wall, just in case the little guy found a way to climb up the wall, he wouldn't be able to escape. So we do have that no climb barrier all the way around the habitat, even on the building itself. I thought that was a nice little addition. So anyway, It's a very utilitarian exhibit, which the more I'm looking and the more I'm listening to people who are really well in the know, a lot of what people are building in Planet Zoo, myself included, are these grandiose kind of pie in the sky, if everything was perfect, and kind of like they look beautiful and they look natural, but they don't really look realistic from a zoo sense. Like, a zoo uses a lot of rope and a lot of like logs and not a lot of natural foliage in the habitats, at least from from a lot of what I've seen. And that seems to be what a lot of people who know more than I do are saying. And that me, and I know I'm probably guilty of this, I'm not taking as much care to make sure that my enclosures are realistically escape proof. I know they're escape proof as far as the game's concerned, but there's a lot you've got to think about. Like corners. One of the big things is corners that animals could shimmy up. That's a huge thing to think about. And actually, this exhibit, in most places, does a good job because it wraps around the outside of a building, so there's not nearly as many acute angles for the animals to shimmy up. So, but yeah, this was a lot more difficult than I thought it was. One of the big issues I had is this indoor area is not big. And once I start putting all the climbing stuff in, it's really hard for a keeper to get around, which means I had a heck of a time finding a place to put the food in this. And they have to use those arboreal, did I say that right? Trays, which I think is lame. They're so massive. I wish we had a small version of them. I would be really happy with that. But anyway, yeah, it's hard for the keeper. It's hard for the keeper to get around. So I put all the food enrichments and their little this food platform, I put it in the interior of the exhibit, which to me makes sense. If I could, maybe, I don't think they can reach, yeah, he can't reach. I did have it out here, the food thing, but the keeper can't reach it for whatever reason. I guess climbable area is in the way or something. There's just not a clean path, because these are small little animals, so they navigate pretty well. I tried to make use of the wall here and figured maybe they added some climbing structures on the wall to kind of dress it up so it wasn't quite so barren. But the more I built this, the more I liked it. It doesn't look natural at all, but it looks, I think, far more realistic to what I've seen in zoos when it comes to climbing habitats. Like in Brocoaster, in Season Zoo, the lemur exhibit is way over the top, but I did try to include a lot of the in-game building structures, because what I saw at my zoo is exactly that, just some logs and some thin little beams, and they all sit there. One thing I'd like to see improved in Planet Zoo are the habits of the animal, the characteristics. Like, I think the red pandas spend way too much time on the ground for being a predominantly arboreal creature. Again, is that a word I said right? I was watching John T. Zoo School today. We were talking about orangutans, and they should be in the climbing structure more often than not. And I know the red pandas spend a lot of time down on the ground. Same with my lemurs, which is kind of like, I'd rather see them be in their climbing space so much. Like, that's what they would do. So maybe that's a tweak that Frontier will make in the future, because I think they spend too much time on the ground. Wanted to go ahead and add another food option over here. It's a bakery. It's just donuts and coffee. And I wanted to make a box. Like, one of the struggles is when you have this aesthetic that you want to look super realistic. There's ugly parts in theme parks and there's ugly parts in zoos. And a lot of times these quick service restaurants are just boxes. And it's always a struggle to show that, no, I want this to be a box. Like, to try hard to make a box look good so it looks like this is intentionally boring, not just I'm bad at the game. Tried throwing some of these Asian accents around, but they were way too big and not what I wanted at all. It was a desperate attempt to add interest, but in real time, we'll take a look at what I did to kind of dress this up. It's not good. It's not great. It's utilitarian, but I want it to kind of look ugly. I want it to look like this is a box that serves food. And so when we look in real time, hopefully that is what you will see, a box that serves food. So let's go ahead. We're just wrapping up the time lapse now. Let's hop into real time and we'll take a look a little closer. So here we are in Emerald Gardens in real time. And I wanted to show, someone in the last video commented that the shrubs grew which they did, and we trimmed them back down. I think this looks way better now. Good eye, good eye. So now that we've got those shrubs down, I think it looks a lot better. Shows off. You could see across it much cleaner. It actually makes this Fragile Kingdom much nicer from across the little pond. So let's head up the hill. This was all in the previous episode here, but we took some of this idea when working on the red pandas. So let's take a, yeah, this is all empty, but this will be wolves over here, I believe. So this way is our little offshoot red panda tunnel. And there it is. I actually really like this piece. I think it's super cute. I need to put a sign that actually says red pandas, because I guess it's not, you know, as explicit enough, but yeah. Oh, look, he's drinking. Oh, look at their steam on the coffee. That's a neat little, wow, I never noticed that. Holy cow, that's cool. Anyway, here is the interior to our red panda exhibit. You'll notice this area is a little bigger. I had to fit the feeder there, even though it never gets used. There's one. There he is. There's one of our little red pandas. We have a male and a female, but I have them on contraceptive, so they will not be making any babies. Even though I'm in Sandbox, I do have a lot of the animal features still turned on. But here you go. Here's a good example of what I was talking about in the time lapse. He should be climbing on stuff, like in the habitat, but whatever. We'll take a look from his perspective in just a second. This area is very, very crowded because it's still pretty new. You'll see here's our info boards. We have 2 on this side. And we walk through into this little area here that is it's surprisingly cozy. And here's what happened to the bakery. It is called Om Nom Bakery. And Om Nom Bakery is a nod to a bakery I made in my very first Planet Coaster video for Conifer Slopes. One of my very first Planet Coaster videos, I built a bakery and called it Om Nom. So now that's one of those little brands that I throw into my projects. Well, I'm in the enclosure. But you can see, it's still just a box, but now there's some actual little details that make it look a little nicer. So just a little bit of overhang, a little bit of detail with trim. And I mean, it is just a box, but I think it looks pretty okay. And I really like how I was able to squeeze these picnic tables in here. And I figured this would be a good place to throw in the "Don't Feed the Animals" sign. But you get some really nice views of the habitat from here. So this whole little area turned out way better than I was originally anticipating. But yeah, I'm very happy with how it worked. So let's see, can we see anybody in there? No, I don't see anybody in there. They might be sleeping. They sleep a lot. Yeah, so anyway, we'll go look around. I added this little rope fence here. This is something I see all over at my zoo. And actually at a couple different zoos I've been to, I see this just simple rope fencing with logs or beams, and I think that's a nice little detail. So you can see this is like the first time that we're doing functional architecture more than like that really fancy architecture that goes with the theme. Not everything will be that super modern build, so hopefully you're like, oh, okay, cool. You can see that not everything's gonna look that super modern look. That entrance area is its own little thing. And then down here we have a little garden area with some statues that are super cute. And I think this is a nice, this turned out really nice. This is the view from down here up into the Om Nom Bakery area. I'm really happy with how that came out. Oh, and look, there's one. There's one just walking, walking along there. Don't do any weird jumping. But yeah, you can see I'm super happy with this. Never mind the jumping animation there. But you can see it's utilitarian. It's clearly a zoo, but I don't know. I think this looks quite realistic. I'm sure if you know a lot about zoos, you could tell me probably a bunch of things that are wrong with this exhibit. But I'm happy. I'm pleased with it. For my knowledge, my skill level as far as designing zoos, pretty happy with this. I think this is a nice smaller exhibit. So here is where, oh, I never put a door. Shoot, I forgot to put a door there. But this is how we get in. Never mind how junky this is. But you can see we have our keeper hut right next door. They can come in and get what they need. So here we are inside. You can actually get a better view of it. I think the skylights are pretty good. They are on an ever so slight angle. So I think that looks good. And the windows here, I like that. I'm a big fan. So they do tend to sleep a lot in there. Hello. Oh, look. Oh, you're going to eat some food. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Look at all that yummy fruit and bamboo and other things. That's pretty cool. I do like it. I think it's pretty fun. so we can actually be in the enclosure. But you can see all the areas these guys have to climb. I tried to really give them lots of options. Different routes, different paths, different ways to keep them stimulated. You don't want them, as far as a lot of the animals that do climbing, a lot of the things I read say you don't want them to only have a couple options. You want to have lots of variations. So they have some natural looking trees they can climb on. They have all this structure they can climb on. But I'm really happy with how it's built on the side of the hill here. It really opened up some interesting possibilities. So I want to jump out of this view and go from a more top-down view. You can see now that we have two distinct, but still one giant building with two distinct roof patterns. Maybe this was an addition. Maybe I'll go in and change it to be the same color. I don't know. But we still have those awesome roof details from Mr. Gomez. You can see that it's not a big area. A lot of it's backstage. But that would also help this Fragile Kingdom backstage area. Like, this would be a big service area for all the animals in both of these houses. So really think that turned out pretty well. From here, I'm thinking here's going to be where our wolves are. This is kind of setting itself up. There's a staff path right here, so we can have the entrance to the exhibit here. We could hopefully do some cool things, maybe add a little trail with some, like, other things, and maybe take advantage of that Arctic DLC pack that's coming out. So we'll see what happens, though. So hopefully I can squeeze out another one of these episodes for you before I leave in a couple days. Don't hold your breath. If it doesn't happen, then it will be probably closer to New Year's when you see the next Planet Zoo video from me, and hopefully I'll be able to get at least one other video out on the channel in between now and New Year's. So might not be Planet Zoo, but we'll have something. So with all that being said, I think we're going to put a done stamp on it right now. So if you enjoyed, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing if you haven't already, so you don't miss anything coming up. Once we're back from the holidays, we'll get back into the swing of things and hopefully get back on track. So with all that being said, have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I will see all of you for the next episode of Emerald Gardens. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.